Hey everyone, welcome back to Cali Plants. Me again, Mark. Today we're back at our house. Yes, we've already finished our Baguio visit, our Baguio vlogs. So if you haven't checked those out, I have two videos. But these are the plants that I got from my visits in Baguio. Actually, I went into two places, to Sir Dan Saclangan's Living Gifts Nursery and to another farmer of succulents. And I actually only got succulents from the other farmer and I didn't get any succulents from Sir Dan. Probably later we will get some from there. So here are all the plants that I've got, and I made a very few selections since we only have a tiny amount of space on the vehicle that we're riding on. So I wasn't able to get a lot of succulents, but I really like the succulents that we have, and I got some of these for very cheap. I will be telling you the prices, and also in this video we're gonna be talking about the things that I learned about succulents on my visit to Baguio recently. Because unlike any other visits in Baguio that I did in the past, which is like just for recreational purposes, this time around I really managed to talk to some real succulent farmers, to some real growers, and I was able to learn a few things about growing succulents in their place. So I will be sharing them to you. And also, we're gonna be unboxing this package that I got because I got this like around a few weeks ago. I bought these succulents, and then the seller said that she wouldn't ship this out through the Holy Week because it will be too crowded, there will be a lot of people, and she didn't want any delays on the plans. So she had this shipped after Holy Week, and just in time because we visited the highlands during the Holy Week period. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna be unboxing this later on, but first let's talk about the succulents that we have here. So now I got this one. This is Echeveria Beyonce. Yes, this is a variegated Mabina, and I've always wanted this plant. It's a clumping succulent. You can see here it's a really nice succulent, and nice colors on that. We have some nice variegation, and all the leaves are variegated, and you can see it's a clumping type 1. Okay, but still the succulent can get wide. So yeah, and I know that I don't want to buy this online because it looks very delicate. Look at it. It looks like it's easy to break once you ship it. So yeah, I wanted to buy it from an actual shop. And also I managed to get this one as a cheaper succulent because I got it from the farm. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about prices right now. And in the farm, in these succulent farmers, I will probably show a video. They sell the succulents for very cheap, and then they sell it to other people who will be selling them online, because these farmers, they don't all ship succulents online. Sometimes they will just grow succulents on their greenhouses. They just want to grow them for fun, and yeah, they're really not into that online selling thing that other people are more knowledgeable at. So a lot of these farmers, they're not very knowledgeable at online selling, and really they don't care about the prices of succulents online, but they know that the sellers who are buying from them will be selling their succulents for a higher price. So let's say that I got this compactum. Okay, this is another one that I got because my other compactum had stem rot, so I had to behead it, and I had to propagate a lot of it, and all of my compactums right now are looking small, so I want to try out a larger one. And the seller of this one was very gracious to give me another freebie of the same plant, just a smaller one, but still another plant as well. So we have these two nice compactums, yes, and I really like them. And yeah, I wanted to buy them because they were very cheap at her place. These I got for 15 pesos. The two of these, because this one is free, so this one is 15 pesos. You can see that their prices there are really cheap. But what I learned with these farmers, though, they are selling very cheap succulents, they are very hard to reach. They are like in these farthest places in the highlands. We were glad that we had a friend that was coming along with us who knows somebody up there in the highlands and who can point us at the direction of these growers, and some of their relatives there are growers as well. So they were able to show us these really farm locations, and I will be showing you a video, as I said before, where they sell succulents for very cheap and where they grow a lot of these succulents. Yes, so they are very hard to reach. So if you plan to go to Baguio, and you will really need to devote some time in your visit there to look for these growers and to buy from them these really cheap succulents. And what I learned as well on my visit there, these Benguet growers, these Benguet farmers, a lot of them won't have very large succulents. So a lot of them will be growing these small size succulents. You can see this is still very small. They will sell them for very cheap, but sometimes they will be very small. So I wasn't able to go to a greenhouse which has large succulents because the grower that I have are really propagating these small succulents. They have like large succulents as well, but they will not be selling those for very cheap. I will tell you, they still value their large succulents. They will be selling their smaller succulents for very cheap, like this one, but yeah, it will not be very large. Okay, if you're looking for a cheap price, like for 15 pesos like this one, you will still get a small plant because the prices there changes still as the plant grows. So it's not like they have all the succulents in the world in the highlands, so it won't be very cheap. Though there are some varieties that can be sold as cheaper ones because they're very common and they're very easy to grow. And I will tell you that this one, I got this one for very cheap. I think this is 15 pesos as well. This is a large Sedum. Look at that. Okay, Sedum Joyce Tulok that I got because I really like the colors on the plant. It has this nice variation in color, and it's already very large. Okay, and I was surprised that they will sell this as 15 pesos. Okay, so I got this for a very cheap price. It's already a very large succulent. You can see at the center. I'm just being very gentle on it. It has a lot of pops right there at the center. So the grower told me to cut off these longer stems at the sides so that it will grow more at the center and it will produce another set batch of leaves, another batch of stems. So this is really large and I really like it. Okay, and they're just going on the ground. These common succulents, they grow them in the ground, and some of them look good, but I would not say that all of them look very good. Probably there are like new succulents that are brought outside, so which is why they're still very small, so they won't be very large at these farms. And probably what I think is happening right there is that they have these small succulents, and once it grows, they will move it to these sellers. So these sellers who will be selling them for higher prices, they will get these succulents once they grow a little bit larger. So these sellers who sell succulents for higher prices, they will only select like large succulents to ship. Yes, I already heard that these highland growers, they won't be selling succulents that are very small because it will be very risky to ship it. So yeah, they will only probably be getting the larger succulents, which is why I would say that there is also a benefit with buying succulents online because they will already be large in size. Okay, if you can find succulents that are large in size online and you can buy them there, then it will save you a lot of money, save you a lot of cost, rather than going there personally and then looking for these succulents, because it's very hard to look for large succulents up there. So which is why I think that these sellers, these highland sellers of succulents, I don't think that they earn like tons and tons of money when it comes to selling succulents online. I think they're just like catching up to the prices. They're not earning too much. Okay, sometimes a new variety will show up, but yeah, I've asked the seller that grows these lots of succulents, and even if a new variety pops up, even if it's like new and they will already be propagating it at the highlands, they will still not be selling it for very cheap once they knew that the variety is new. Once they buy these new varieties, because these succulent farmers, they also buy their succulents. Like, look at this. This is an Echeveria Beyonce, and I've actually held back from buying this one because I was looking for a cheaper price one, and I still got this one for 200 pesos. Okay, this is 200 pesos when I bought it, and it's still a very small one. So yeah, but I think that it's worth it because a lot of these other Beyoncés online are being sold for 500 pesos or more, especially once you get more sizes from them. So yeah, this is a very small one, and I got this one for 200 pesos. Yes, so it's still very expensive when it comes to these farmers. So don't expect your succulents to just be priced at around 50 pesos or lower than that. Not all succulents are being sold like that. So sometimes there are some more common varieties like this one, a compactum. They can be priced at 15 pesos each, and that is only if you manage to get a good deal with the farmer. Because sometimes some farmers will also have some knowledge when it comes to the prices of these succulents, but some of them really doesn't care. So yeah, if you're looking for these farm price succulents, you really have to go very deep into the mountains, very far. And yeah, our vehicle that are going through there really have to manage through small like roads that are very rocky, and sometimes we have to drive at the sides of the cliffs just to get through. Okay, it was really, really difficult to go there. Yeah, I'm not discouraging anyone. I think that it will still be a nice experience for you to go there. So it will be a really nice, enlightening experience, really, and it's really enjoyable going through these places. And I really like the travels that we did. So I'm not discouraging anyone to not go there, but yeah, it will be a little bit difficult if you're gonna be looking for those farm price succulents, because that's actually what I went there for. I was actually looking for cheaper succulents to buy. And yeah, and we still have some other succulents to talk about. Okay, I got this other crassula. This is a Crystalline Deceptor, and I've always wanted this one. Okay, I think this is Deceptor if I'm not mistaken, and this is still a small one. Yes, and this is priced much more expensive still. Yes, it's not 15 pesos if I remember correctly. It's not 15 pesos when I bought it. I think it was 150. So yeah, it will still have a larger price if the farmer knows that the plant is new, because they also buy these succulents. These farmers, they also buy Korean succulents, and they will propagate them just like any of us does. Okay, they're not that easy to grow. Like succulents there are not everywhere. They still have to choose the succulents, and they still have to grow, and in many cases, a lot of the succulents that they buy also die. Okay, they also get deaths on their succulents. And in these farms, I noticed that they have these large displays or large tables of succulents in their greenhouses, and still a lot of those succulents will be rotting. So they will still get death on their succulents. It's not like the place is very ideal for succulents here. And we're gonna be talking about like how ideal is it for succulents to grow there. Because when I went into these greenhouses, probably you have watched in the vlog, they are very, very hot. They are very, very hot up there. It's really hot how they grow these plants. Really, really hot. Oh man, it's so hot out here. It's not cold. It's not cold. It's really, really hot. I would say that my greenhouse here is much more comfortable than the greenhouse they have over there. It's really, really, really hot inside. And a lot of these succulents are growing in there, in those greenhouses, and they're thriving and they're alive. Yeah, so I'm actually wondering why people right now are saying that, oh, succulents only grow in the highlands, but it's not the case, because they're actually putting their succulents in greenhouses that are as hot or even much more hotter than the greenhouse that I have. So probably if you bring them like to a lowland location and your location is still hot, I think it won't make any difference, because these greenhouses where they came from is already hot. So if you bring them down, I think it will be not a big difference in temperatures. Okay, and some of you might think, oh, these greenhouses they have in the highlands, if it's night, then it will already be getting cold, and succulents will thrive in that cold during the night. But greenhouses doesn't work like that. Greenhouses actually collect heat at the morning, and it retains that heat all through the night. So the temperatures inside the greenhouse will still be higher than the temperatures outside. So the succulents there also thrive in these hot greenhouses. Okay, they only have succulents that grow in the cold, like outside of their greenhouses. Some of them grow succulents outside, but not a lot of those succulents outside also look very good. So they still have the same quality as the succulents inside. And these sellers, they say that they only grow succulents in the greenhouses, which the reason why their greenhouses are hot, because they're stressing out the succulents. Yeah, they're wanting to get more color on their succulents. So which means that they're still growing their succulents, they're still placing the succulents in greenhouse for a very long time. So yeah, so that is the case with growing succulents in the highlands. They are not grown in a particularly cold environment. They're grown in hot environment. And a lot of the more unique varieties are grown in greenhouses. They only grow like succulents outside only on the more common varieties. But on the much more rarer varieties, they all go in the greenhouse. They all stay in the greenhouse. So that's what I can say on my visit to Baguio. So yeah, and we also have this one, this very warty Pocaria tiguina. I already have the smooth version of this that is green in color, but I don't have this bumpy one. So I bought one, and it was also very expensive. I think I bought some for 100 pesos or more. And it was already directly in the farm, okay? So yeah, it's still very pricey. And there is another variety of this one that I still want to get, the white version of the Variegated Mabina, which has much more whiter color. Yes, and they have that. The grower that I visited has that, but it's also very expensive because she hasn't managed to propagate it. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, people think that succulents grow fast in the highlands, but no, they don't. They still have to wait for the succulents to grow. So yeah, it's not like succulents, they miraculously grow large very quickly. They still wait for their plants, yes, and they still price their plants high, especially if they're very new, because they also buy these succulents. And I think the prices that we buy them and the prices that these highland growers buy them, I think it's the same. Yeah, I think the difference in price is not that large, not that large. So if you're growing like new succulents, or if you're a new grower of succulents and you're still collecting these like more common varieties, you will probably get a cheaper price on them. But if you're a collector like me, that you already have a lot of this common and you're looking for something much more rare, then you will still have to pay a lot more for that, for those more expensive succulents. Yes, and I would say that their succulents sometimes are still very variable. Not all of the succulents look good. Some of their succulents look good, but it's still very variable. It's not like all of their succulents look good. They will still select succulents that will look good and sell online, but not all of their succulents look that good. Okay, I would say. So they're still like, they're just like any of us. They're just like growers like any of us here at the lowlands, yes. And I think the only benefit that they have is that they have mastered the use of their potting mix. Because all of the potting mix that I have here have some clay in it and have some alnus compost as well. But the succulents are thriving in this. So yeah, I'm still gonna figure out how to make my succulents really healthy, just like these ones, even with the like very earthy potting mix that they have. Okay, and I'm actually asking why they're not using like pumice in their potting mix, and they told me that only those who want to stress their succulents will grow their succulents in pumice. So pumice is only good for stressing out, as it seems, for stressing out succulents. But for growing succulents, generally you can also use like soil. So that's what they told me. So yeah, I'm actually very conflicted about that, because I used to think that succulents only thrive in like very rocky mixes, but yeah, they can thrive in soil as well. Yes, and we have this Molocaniensis, which I got as a free succulent, and as it looks to me, it has a millibug, so I will be washing this one out. Okay, but it's still very small, and she told me to try it out. This is a free one. To try it out, just try growing it, and if I have success with it, then I can make it grow, because I haven't tried the Molocaniensis yet. Yes, and what else do we have? We have this aloe. I think it's an aloe, and I thought that it was a Haworthia when I looked at it from afar, but this is an aloe, and I actually wanted to have a Haworthia which has this fuzzy leaves, but as it turns out, it doesn't look like a Haworthia to me. It looks more like an aloe. So yeah, I'm gonna be trying growing this one, and I get this one for very cheap, by the way. I think it was 15 or 20 pesos. It was already large, and she has a lot of these props of this same plant growing on her greenhouse. So yeah, probably it will just pop up later on. So that's nice. It looks nice, but yeah, it's not the type of succulent that I usually collect. If it was a Haworthia, then it would be better, but it's not a Haworthia. Okay, so I will still be caring for that anyways. So yeah, that's all the haul that I got from the highlands. And yeah, pardon my very confusing way of explaining all the things that I observed at the highlands. They're still very wobbly. I think they're not that established yet because they're still very small. So I'm actually very gentle. Yes. So I still have to like go to a lot of farms, I think, to have a more better idea of how they grow their succulents up there. Yeah, I still have to visit a lot of farms. There are farms that I want to visit which has large succulents, because we see them every time we're looking at live sellings. And yeah, I think they grow some of their succulents, but I think they also like import it from other sellers, or like buy it from farmers, and then they grow it a little more and then they sell it online. So yeah, but generally not a lot of farms in the highlands will have large succulents. You will still have to hunt for them. Yeah, they're not like everywhere. But there are some places, the highlands, which has a lot of succulents, I will tell you. There are like along the roads, they're just growing on the ground. So there are places which has a lot of succulents already, and it will only be the common ones. For the rarer ones, if you're a collector like me, you will have to look for it really hard. Yeah, but for the common ones, you can find them everywhere. And yeah, and what I can also say, if you have the time, or yeah, if you're a tourist, if you have time, you can go into these farms so that you can buy cheaper succulents. Because if you are only touring, if you are only like visiting around in Baguio, like you're not gonna go into these farms, you will also find succulents, but they will not be as cheap compared to the farms. So once you go lower than the farms, like I would just visualize it like these are the farms, this is how far they are, and once you go closer to the city, once you get closer to the city, the prices will already be expensive right away. Okay, it will just be expensive right away. But if you go higher up at the farms, the prices there will be cheap, will still be cheap. So yeah, the difference of the prices of succulents really changes very quickly. Okay, if you buy it from these tourist locations, it will not be as cheap compared to the actual farms that grow these succulents. So yeah, there is a difference. There is already a very large difference because I've been comparing. And when we were going through these tourist spots, I already see a lot of these succulents, but I wasn't buying them because I know that we will be going to a farm. Yeah, and I only bought succulents from the farm, and I wasn't buying succulents from these tourist spots. Yeah, but if you have a limited time and you're just like visiting Baguio, and if you don't have the time to hunt for these farms, then I would just recommend you can buy on these tourist spots. Yeah, and you can also support the sellers that way, because like people will only sell succulents if they are selling, if people are buying them. Yeah, which is why I will still buy succulents online, and I will probably buy when we visit at the highlands. But yeah, don't like be a very cheap person when it comes to buying succulents, because as I've noticed, a lot of these farmers and these sellers of succulents, they grow them, they farm them because they like them. They don't grow them for money. Like these farmers who are growing succulents, they have farms and they have greenhouses at the side, but most of the income that they get is from the farms that they have, like vegetables, like carrots, and a lot of the plants that are grown there are lettuce, carrots, broccoli, potatoes. So that's the main source of income that they have, and they're only growing succulents as like a passion project. They don't grow succulents because it's their main source of income. No, a lot of them only grow succulents because they want to, and yeah, they're not earning a lot of money from it. So yeah, if you're gonna be very cheap to them, you're gonna be asking them for very cheap prices, you're only making the growing experience harder for them. Okay, which is why I would not recommend that you like be very cheap when it comes to the price of succulents. If you see a succulent that is reasonably priced for you, then just get it. Don't ask for very low prices, because those who grew them for for a passion, just because they want to. They're not earning tons of money from it. Okay, if you get what I mean, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, so this is an Echeveria Lola, and this is a free one. Okay, so this is from Chai Chafe. Okay, Chai Chafe on Facebook. Okay, this is the freebie that she gave me. This is Caberia Lola. Okay, yes, you can see that it's a free one. Okay, let's go on to the next. This is the Jinjuhi. Yes, and these are very new varieties, the plants that I got from her, because she's a seller of these really new varieties. And these new varieties, they're not everywhere as well. Like in many cases, these farmers, they won't have these really unique succulents. You will have to hunt for them really hard. And yeah, if you're buying on Facebook, you will also have to hunt for these very expensive succulents. They are not very common. They are still very new. A lot of growers will haven't seen them yet. So if you ask around at farms what specific variety you would like to buy, I don't think they will have a lot of selection Okay, most of them are growing only like common succulents. So if you're buying from online, then if you already have an idea on the latest succulents, then I would suggest you just buy it online if you can find it on these actual farms. Okay, so this is the Jinjuhi. This is another Laurie hybrid. Yes, and I actually remember the grower that I was talking to. I just wasn't able to vlog our conversation because I was already getting tired. It was our resting time, and that was the time that I was buying, so I was having a conversation with this grower, and what she tells me that I probably have much better succulents than what she has. Okay, she told me that your succulents might be better than mine. So that's what she told me because she knew that I was a vlogger and I was a collector. Because I told her that I was a vlogger and I was a collector, and she had an idea that probably my succulents were already better than hers. And in some ways, I have some varieties that she doesn't have. And I'm actually like surprised at that. Okay, I used to think that these farmers will have all the succulents in the world. This is a Tom Allen. I already have a Runyonia here in my place. It's a much more smaller one because I have stressed it out. It was planted in a bad potting mix. So now we get a larger one. Okay, and what she also told me, and this grower, is that she also gets loss with some varieties. Okay, she loses some profit, some earnings in some varieties. Okay, that's what she told me. In Filipino, we call that lugi. So nalulugi din siya in some of her varieties because she buys them for a very high price and it won't take long, and these succulents will already be very cheap at the market. So that also happens with them. They will sometimes buy very expensive varieties, but it will be very cheap very quickly. So that is a challenge for them because they can catch up their profits on the prices that they bought the succulents. So this is Echeveria Globulosa, and this is another succulent that I don't have yet. So that is one sad thing to know about farming succulents, but it really happens. And you will also probably have an idea on it if you are an avid collector of succulents. Sometimes you will buy a succulent for a very expensive price, and later on, propagations will pop up of the same succulent that are already very cheap. Okay, it happens on a lot of succulents. So it's a very risky thing to grow succulents for like a business. Okay, you will have to face those challenges with selling succulents as well. So I would really say that these growers, these farmers of succulents, they're really passionate about succulents as well. So they're not just doing that for the money, okay? Which is why if they sell it for this price, don't go cheap on them, okay? Just like be reasonable when it comes to these sellers. Okay, this is Echeveria Globulosa, and I really like this one. This is a small, compact type of Echeveria, and I'm actually going into the more compact size Echeverias right now because I'm getting limited space in my location. So I'm actually looking for ways to grow succulents, to grow more succulents in a much more crowded space. So that, I'm looking for smaller varieties right now. This is a large one. This is, I think, a Longissima hybrid, Riga. I've already seen this several times, and I'm buying it for the first time. And I actually have another Longissima variety here, the Matador, which kind of looks like the Riga, but it's really different. So this is, there it is. There is our Riga. Okay, it's another succulent that doesn't have a lot of farina. It has like a very light touch of farina, and it has these purplish edges once you manage to stress it out. Okay, so really, really nice. Yes, we have that. Yes, and also another thing I learned, I just remembered it right now. These growers, another risk that they face when it comes to growing succulents is the way that succulents change colors and shapes. So she showed me this one Echeveria agavoides, and I was actually eyeing her Echeveria agavoides ebony. She had a really nice looking ebony. I don't think I probably got it in my camera, but it was a very nice looking ebony. It was very whitish in color. It was very pale green, very white, and it has just a tiny touch of red margins at the edges, and it was really, really beautiful. And I was eyeing it, and I was actually thinking of buying Echeveria agavoides on my visit there. but I wasn't able to find a lot of agavoides in her location. So I think, yeah, agavoides varieties are really hard to propagate. So that's what I think is happening. So which is why she doesn't have plenty of them. She only has like a few ebonies, and it was still like, I can tell that these ebonies that she has, she's planning to make these mother plants as her mother plants. So she's not like selling them right away. So if she would be selling them, because she tends to use them for mother plants, she will be pricing them up much higher, because those are still her collection plants. So she has these Echeveria agavoides, and she had this one ebony looking agavoides that is very green in color, and she told me that it used to look the same as the other ebony that she has, which is very pale green in color, that is almost white in color. And she told me that it was the same plant, it looked like the same plant, but when it was damaged and she had to behead it, it already looked very green, and it didn't come back to its older shape. It wasn't already looking fat, and it wasn't already white in color. It's very, very like green. Like it was looking like an Echeveria agavoides nevada to me. So it wasn't already looking like an ebony. And she keeps telling me, she told me that this plant didn't come back to its older form. Like it's staying on this green form. And she was already finding it hard to make the plant stressed again, to make the plant plump and white again. So that's another risk that they have when growing succulents. Yet, plants that change color, because you won't be able to sell it at the same high price that you bought it in, because it's no longer looking the same. It's looking like an ordinary Echeveria agavoides nevada. So yeah, that's another challenge that they have. Sometimes a stressed succulent will not stay stressed for very long, and stressing out succulents seems to be the same challenge that they have with us as well, with us common growers, because stressing succulents for us is already very difficult, and it seems to me that it's also difficult for them. Okay, not a lot of them have mastered that stressing out succulents. So this is another one that I got. This is Echeveria Derlu. Okay, I think it's a Derenbergii crossed with a Laui Echeveria. Okay, so we have that, another Laurie hybrid. We got two Laurie hybrids in this haul, the Jinjuhi and the Derlu. Yes, so we have that. This is a green one, and I think this one goes into much more pink one. And this is a Laurie crossed with a Tolimenensis, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I looked it up online, and it's a pointed leaf Echeveria, which is a hybrid of Echeveria Laurie. Okay, so that's what we have here. Okay, so those are all the succulents that I got, and those are all the lessons that I learned with my visit on the highlands. And probably later on, as we have more time and we have more budget to go to the highlands, I will probably look for other farms as well, which has really large succulents. Because the places that we've been through, like the Living Gifts Nursery, only had cacti, and it was mostly cacti in Sir Dan Saclangan's collection. So he has some Haworthias, Areucarpuses, very unique cacti, but not a lot of succulents. But I know that my audience, my viewers, really like succulents. So yeah, I will probably hunt for these farms which has large succulents as well. I was actually intending to visit some other locations, but we were running out of time. So we only had like 2 days. So yeah, probably at a later date, we will visit other growers as well. So if you are a grower in the highlands, or if you're watching from the highlands, and if you have an idea on where these large farms can be found, you can comment down below, or you can message me on my Facebook page. You can also follow me on Instagram, so that you can give me an idea on where to go, because yeah, we would all like to see these large succulents here on the channel. So yeah, if you have an idea on that, send a message to me, and probably later on we will get to visit that. But yes, I think that's about it for this video. If you really like the plants that we have, okay, please make sure to hit the thumbs up. Yes, thumbs up for our Caberia Beyonce. Hopefully I will keep it alive. Yes. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I think that's it for this video, guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.